Hey everybody, I'm Cyclone. I wanted to make a short video real quick. With the possible influx of players coming in from DNF Duel, I wanted a video readily available for anybody who might have any questions on how they might be able to use their controller or their fight stick or their hitbox to play DFO, since controller support in DFO is virtually non-existent. Now, I've admittedly only ever used PlayStation controllers while playing DFO, but the tool that I use should support any controller that your computer can already read. And I've played using PS3, PS4, and PS5 controller. I'm currently using PS5 with Steam's drivers, and they work perfectly fine. Now, I mentioned in-game controller support for DFO is practically non-existent. So instead I use an external tool called antimicro. Antimicro basically allows you to just rebind your controllers very easily, which in turn will be read by DFO. Now, I'll put a link in the description. There's a GitHub site. You can just download antimicro. It's very easy to find, very easy to run. If you don't know which one you want this one right here on top. So you download it, you run it, and you'll get something that looks like this. Now, when you do run it, you'll need to run it in administrator mode. If you don't, there should be a warning at the bottom of this that says, hey, your game might not be able to read this unless you run this in administrator mode. Click here to run in administrator mode, and it'll restart itself in administrator mode. So, instead of trying to use any support that DFO might have, we're going to rebind our controls to be keyboard inputs. It's very easy to do. Just make sure this is visible here. So, my controller, you can see my computer is already reading my controller. I said I'm using the PS5 controller, but Gamepad Viewer does not have a PlayStation 5 controller template, so it looks like a PS4 controller. Bring my anti-micro back up. So you can see in here, it can read all of my buttons just fine. You push a button, it'll light up showing you what key that is. And I'm going to just very quickly show you, assuming DFO's default controls, a very simple setup. So basic attack is X. So you can just come in here, set key to X. Skill 1 is Z. I'm going to use square for that, so I can set that to Z. Skill 2 is spacebar. I use triangle for that. And then jump, I'm going to set to circle. Jump is C. I had to think about that for a second. Oh, and I'm also going to set my movement keys real quick. I'm just going to set that on the D-pad. D-pad up, D-pad right, D-pad down, D-pad left. And there's also even a simpler way you can set this. If you hit this quick set button, it'll ask you to push a button. So I can push up, and then it'll bring up the keyboard. And you can push up. And you can do that for every single key. So I've got all that set. Let me move this over here. So all I've set are my face buttons and my D-pad. You can see I can move around. I can attack. Use a skill. Use a secondary skill. I can jump. DFO allows you to input what I call manual inputs, or motion inputs, for almost every single move in the game. If you look at the bottom of my screen, you can see I almost have no skills set to my hotbar. Now, with no skills set to my hotbar, I can still do my entire rotation. So if I open up the skill list, or the skill tree, there are a lot of skills. And every single skill, look at cutting palms here, has a manual input. Some manual inputs aren't good. Forward, half circle forward. I still use this one, but it's not, might not be great for you. Maybe you want to change it. Maybe you don't like it. You can click this button right here and change what the manual input is. And you can use any of the face buttons that I set. You can use attack, skill 1, skill 2, or even jump in combination with directional inputs. So let's say I wanted this move that I never use. Let's say I wanted it forward, up, jump, for whatever reason. I have now applied that. Forward, up, jump. I don't like that though, so I'm going to undo that. If you do want to undo that, you can actually come in here and hit reset, and it'll reset that skill. You can also push the button right beside each move to reset it back to its default. So you can see just how many I've actually changed by if they're blue or not. And some are, in fact, unchangeable. So I mentioned you can use any direction in one of those 4 keys. You can also have a hold input. At the top left here, you can see it's up and Z. So if I just go in. Right, I haven't set all my keys. That's why I can't just push start. So if I just tap up and push Z, well, that's just my normal weapon uppercut, which is just Z. But if I hold up, I get a different move. I'm looking back at antimicro. I've basically covered everything I meant to say, but there are some advanced settings you can use in here. You can set turbo. You can set it as a toggle. And one thing I will say about turbo is there's, for just basic attacks, there's actually an option in-game. But for everything else, you can set turbo if you want. I can't imagine it would be useful in any other key, but it's there. Did I minimize? I did. Wait, where did antimicro go? Okay, I don't know where it went, so I'm just going to open it back up real quick. Now I have it set up already, ready to go. I do have some things like the start button is escape, as that'll close many menus for you. Where? Okay, sorry, I had closed every single window to get to that program on my desktop. I do use 2 keys as hotkeys. So this is set to S, or this is set to A, this is set to S. You can set any number of keys. I use these 2 as my item buttons, so I have 2 item buttons and 2 skill hotkeys. You are not limited to just the buttons. You can set the control stick to 2 things. So you can see the axis is moving back and forth. So let's say I wanted to... my left stick to the right is currently not set to anything. You can open up this menu and move the stick to see which way is which, because sometimes it might get flipped. Change the dead zone if you want. Change the max zone if you want. But I want to set something to right. There's a button right here You can set it to... I'll go ahead and set it to F. I have a skill on the F key. And a lot of controller players will actually use all 8 directions of the control sticks for hotkeys. I just prefer to manual everything. I'm actually even using an epic equipment set that gives you damage for having empty skill keys. Or, quick slot. What is it? What's the wording? Empty skill quick slot. Yes. So just removing skills off of my hotbar gives me more damage, up to 6 skills. I can't think of anything else I need to say. Like I said, antimicro should be able to pick up any controller your computer is already reading. So yeah, I hope it was useful. And if anybody is coming in from DNF Duel, I hope that game is good. I'm really looking forward to it.